Hi, everyone. This is Dana Shibley with the company Verifyle. Let's go ahead and get started with today's presentation. First of all of us here at Verifyle are very pleased about the partnership that we have in place with IAAI. As a result of this partnership, all of you as IAAI members should know that you get access to a premium version, a special version of Verifyle Pro at no charge to you or anyone at all with whom you'd like to share information. You get access to the full suite of capabilities, including the ability to brand it as you would like, and also unlimited electronic signatures. You can access your Verifyle Pro system by clicking on the link in recent emails that you received from IAAI, or you can simply go to verifyle.com and sign in for free using the email address by which IAAI recognizes you to be a member. I'll say that again. You can simply go to verifyle.com and sign in for free using the email address by which IAAI recognizes you to be a member. If you use another email address to sign in, then our system will not recognize you, and you will eventually be asked to supply a credit card number, but you should not have to do that because IAAI has picked up that tab for you. Okay, quick caveat here. I am not a tax or accounting professional, but today I'm going to be showing you some general sharing examples to really stress the key concepts for use behind Verifyle. So unlike other demos that you might be used to where you're ready to take copious notes and so forth, the best way to watch this demo is to just sit back and wrap your head around how information flows in Verifyle at a high level, and everything else will come intuitively to you. There are already a number of professionals who are using Verifyle for secure sharing purposes, others who are using it primarily for secure storage purposes. Some professionals use Verifyle mainly for securely sharing sensitive information with their internal colleagues, and others are using Verifyle exclusively for selectively sharing sensitive information back and forth with their clients. And we'll go through a number of these examples today. First of all, some quick background information about Verifyle. Verifyle is based in Silicon Valley, and we are led by Jack Smith, who is the individual who invented and co-founded the company Hotmail, which was many people's first experience with both email and the internet, and ultimately grew to about 500 million users. He also had lead roles with two successful digital security companies, IronPort and Proximex. Verifyle is all about making communication better. And we see two key aspects of communication. Those are security and productivity, neither of which should come at the expense of usability. The reason we place such persistent emphasis on security is that we believe the near-term future of business will continue to be characterized by two types of organizations and professionals. Those who successfully make that extra effort to protect and secure their own information and that of their constituents and continue to reap the long-term trust relationship benefits that derive from that, and those organizations and professionals who do not make that extra effort to protect that information and see a gradual erosion in those trust relationships. We believe the dividing line between those two types of professionals is really going to continue to crystallize over the next few years, and we want to make sure that all of our users fall on the positive side of that line. So you might ask yourself, what is Verifyle? Verifyle is ultra-secure messaging and document sharing and storage all on a single screen, where in that single screen, for each situation that you're working on, whether that be a client engagement, project management, or any kind of sharing or storage of sensitive information, you can see exactly who has access to what information and if and when any single individual has looked at or downloaded any information. So you always have a very heightened sense of situational awareness, not only in terms of your perspective of that communication, but in terms of what's happening on the other side of that communication as well. Think of Verifyle as your all-in-one communication power tool, specifically designed for those situations that you have to be absolutely on top of, that must be well organized and above all private and secure. Now, in our secure single screen, we've incorporated the most powerful components of email, cloud file sharing, unlimited electronic signatures, and our patented encryption key management technology, CelluCrypt, which manages the interaction of 6 different encryption keys for each time that any single individual interacts with any single data element inside of Verifyle. So each data element inside of Verifyle has been individually encrypted, such that even if somebody were to break past our encryption, which they won't, all they'd be able to access would be that single data element, and that's it. There's no potential for someone to break into Verifyle and scoop mass amounts of data to gain what we call bulk access, as they have done with so many systems out there in the public and private sectors, including Anthem to the tune of something like 80 million individual data files, and Equifax to the tune of about 146 million individual data files. So with Verifyle, there's no real incentive for a hacker to try and break in the first place, because there's not that potential for a large-scale return on that hacker's efforts. So this is a major reduction in risk for anyone who uses Verifyle. We would go as far as to say that it's a real game changer in terms of your overall information risk profile. And with that in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at the Verifyle system. And one thing that you should notice is, as we dive in here, you'll be seeing it from my perspective, the perspective of a tax professional, Dana Shibley. And the other thing is that even though Verifyle is protected by all this encryption technology, by all of this security, as users, we don't need to create any encryption keys, memorize any encryption keys, manage or share any encryption keys at all. It all happens automatically, completely behind the scenes for us. Let's go ahead and take a look. So all of you should now be able to see the sign-in screen for Verifyle, which you can access using any of the major browsers. It doesn't matter whether you're using a Mac, a PC, or a tablet computer. You should also feel free to use our handy mobile app if you would like. And now I'm going to go ahead and sign in using my email address and password by clicking on Next right here. And I have selected the option inside of Verifyle such that an authentication code is being requested of me. Now, the authentication code is a code which appears on my mobile device, in this case, my mobile phone, and it changes every 30 seconds. Now, the benefit of using such an additional factor of authentication, second factor of authentication, is that even if somebody does somehow get a hold of my password, they still won't be able to access my Verifyle system unless they also have my mobile phone. And yes, I can click in this little box right here to basically tell Verifyle, hey, Verifyle, if you can see that in future attempts to access my system, that those attempts are happening from the same device and browser that I'm using right now, then you can assume that it's me, and there's no need to ask for the additional authentication code beyond the input of the password here. But if that's not the case, definitely ask for the authentication code, okay? And also, you do have the option to have that authentication code texted to you if you would like, all right? All right, so I'll type in that authentication code. And now I'm into my Verifyle system, where I want to point out 2 things to you. So first of all, you can see the IAAI logo near the top center of the page. You can swap that out for any logo of your choosing by simply clicking on your name at the top right, then going into account settings and adding your own logo. We'll look at that in more detail in just a bit here. The second thing I want to point out to you is there are 2 major areas in your Verifyle system. There is the Workspaces area that we're in right now, and you can see that exemplified by the fact that the Workspaces tab is highlighted here. But let's begin by going into the Contacts area. So I'm going to click the Contacts tab right here, click, and now I can see my list of contacts inside of Verifyle, any one of which I can click on in order to open up a secure one-to-one private messages communication between me and that other individual, in this case, Manny Manager, okay, where I can type any message that I would like to Manny Manager, and I can also click on the paperclip symbol here to securely upload and share any file that I would like to with Manny. But let's start from scratch here and look at a realistic situation. Let's say that I just met a new person and I want to immediately open up a secure one-to-one communication with that person. All I need to do is click on the plus symbol right here, in the Contacts tab, click and type in that person's name and email address. Just like that. Okay, now you can see that Christine Carson, that new person that I met, has been added to my contact list, right? And I can see that a one-to-one private messages communication area between me and Christine Carson has opened up here in the center column, where I can type a message to Christine. And I can also click on the paperclip symbol to securely upload and share a file with her. Let's say I want to upload and share the annuity policy document with her, just like that. And now I'll click send. And that encrypts that information as it is pulled into Verifyle. Okay, here I can see the message and the file, the document, and I can see the file expanded on over here where I can do a number of things to it, and we'll look at that in just a bit here. But the important thing to keep in mind is as I brought this information into Verifyle, the Verifyle system automatically, behind the scenes, sent an email alert to Christine Carson that lands in her regular, old-fashioned email box. And that alert informs her that I, Dana Shibley, the tax professional, using the secure system Verifyle, am sharing with her securely in Verifyle an annuity policy document and a private message. Okay, she can't actually see that private message in that email alert, nor can she access that actual annuity policy document. Why? Because email is not secure. We don't want to be sending sensitive information back and forth via email. But she can click on the link in that email alert, which will bring her into Verifyle, where she can create her own password and instantly access the message and the document. If she looks at the document, I'll receive an alert letting me know immediately that she has done so. If she downloads it, I'll receive an alert letting me know immediately that she has done so. And both of those access instances will be logged for me to refer to anytime that I would like. Okay, now, oh, by the way, if for some reason she doesn't want to click on the link in that email alert, she can just go directly to verifyle.com in order to access that information. Let's see what this experience looks like from Christine Carson's perspective. So I'm now signing in as Christine Carson, the potential client, right? I would have received an email alert that could bring me in, or if I was already inside of Verifyle, I would see this internal alert here in the Contact tab, and I, Christine Carson, the potential client, upon seeing this, could click here, and then I, Christine, can see that Dana Shibley is sharing with me a private message, and here's the annuity policy document, and there's the message, okay? And as you know, if I either preview or download this document, Dana is going to instantly know about that because he'll receive an alert on his side. Okay, so what am I going to do? I, Christine, am going to type a message back to Dana. All right, how about something simple like, thanks, Dana. Notice this is the same interface here that Dana saw on his side, right? Thanks, Dana, and please bring my husband into this communication as well. Something like that, okay? And I, as Christine, also have the option to click on this paperclip symbol right here to share a file back with Dana if I like, but I don't have anything to share with him right now, so I'll just click send. Okay, now I'm going to go back in and look again from Dana's perspective. I'm back in as Dana, the tax professional, and I can see the message that Christine has typed back to me here, right? Thanks, Dana, please bring my husband into this communication as well. Okay, so that's the most basic functionality that you can use inside of Verifyle, right? If you want to start securely sharing information with somebody, just click on the plus symbol in the Contacts tab, add in their name and email address, and you're rolling, okay? Now, for those clients of yours who have relatively simple communication needs back and forth with you, say they only give you one document or two, you go back and forth a couple times and that's it, you would probably be just fine dealing with those clients entirely out of the contacts area, right? And by the way, yes, you can request signatures and everything from them here. All right, we'll look at that in just a bit. Okay, but if you have a client for whom you sense that you're going to need deeper level communication capabilities, you're going to want to consider using a workspace to communicate with that client. Now, for example, I can see here already that Christine wants to bring her husband into this communication with me. And let's say that in various additional communications back and forth with her whether they're right inside the private message here or by phone or whatever, I come to learn that Christine has an estate planning attorney that she wants to get involved in this discussion with me. In fact, there are a lot of estate planning issues going on, in addition to just standard tax planning issues. And Christine also has a business that she runs, and she owns some property out of state. And for the business that she runs, she thinks she might want to get her business partner involved in communicating with me. Okay, so there might be an estate planning attorney, there might be a business partner, and I know that she wants to bring her husband into a communication with me as well. And there are potentially several topics that I'm going to be discussing with Christine Carson. And for each of those topics inside of Verifyle, I have the ability to create a workspace thread, okay, and make sure that different people get access to those different communication threads, which might hold different documents and so forth. Okay, so anyways, what I'm trying to communicate to you is I'm getting tipped off here that this is a deep communication system that's potentially arising here, and I want to be prepared for it. So how do I do that? I go ahead and I click on the Workspaces tab right here. Click. All right, I'm in the Workspaces area right now, and the workspaces here that I've already set up tend to be situations where there's a lot of information moving back and forth between me and quite possibly multiple people on the other side, and it's going on for a significant period of time. It's a deep communication relationship. There might be multiple topics, threads in each of these workspaces, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so I want to create a workspace. How do I do that? I want to create a workspace to work with client Christine Carson. Okay, so I click on the plus symbol here, and I'm going to call this workspace client Christine Carson, just like that. Okay, there's a new workspace, client Christine Carson. The host is Dana Shibley. That's me, the tax professional. Why am I the host? Because I am the creator of this workspace. I am the conductor or the quarterback or whatever your frame of reference is. I'm very much large and in charge of what's going to happen in this workspace. I decide who's going to be in here. I decide who gets pulled out of here. I decide what the topics are going to be in here. I can remove topics from here. Everyone else that I put in this workspace is going to be a guest. All right, so let's click into this client Christine Carson workspace. Click. We're in. There's the title of the workspace, client Christine Carson, and there's nothing in here because we haven't added anything yet. So what do? First thing I'm going to do is add a guest. That's what Verifyle is prompting me to do. So I click add a guest, and the first person I want to add is Christine. So let me do a search for her. All right, there she is. So I decide to add Christine, and Christine has now been added as a guest in the client Christine Carson workspace. And the Verifyle system has recognized, oh, Dana already had a private one-to-one communication going on with Christine Carson that he started in the contacts area. It would probably be convenient for him to continue to have access to that one-to-one communication with Christine Carson, even though he's now going to be working in a broader workspace environment, right? And remember, the reason that we created this workspace environment in the first place was so that we could take advantage of those deeper level communication needs. And how do we do that? By using workspace threads. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol here. I'm going to create a first workspace thread called tax planning, our main thing, right? I'm going to create a second one called estate planning because Christine's been talking to me quite a bit about that topic as well. And I'm going to create a third one called my reference material, just like that. All right, so I've created 3 different workspace threads, okay, in this workspace called Client Christine Carson. Let's go to the first one, tax planning, okay, and notice here as I click on it, it brings it front and center, tax planning, private, no guests have access yet. Why? I haven't given anybody access. So who do I want to have access to all the information that's going to be in this tax planning workspace thread? Well, I definitely want Christine to have access, so what I'm going to do is the following. Okay, this is very important. This is not where you want to take a sip of coffee and lose your focus. Okay, in Verifyle, wherever you are, whenever things are unclear with regard to how you move forward, when things are unclear, go to the gear. There are these little gear icons all over the place wherever you are inside of Verifyle. I'm going to go to the gear right here, and I'm going to click on Manage Permissions. This lets me decide who's going to get access to the tax planning workspace thread. I click Manage Permissions, and I give Christine Carson access just like that. Now I can see that she has access. right? Okay, and I recall from the one-to-one communication that I had with Christine Carson that I started from the contacts area, and which I can access right here, that she asked me to bring her husband into this communication as well. And I know she was talking about taxes generally. So I'm going to go back and click on the tax planning workspace thread. Okay. And I'm going to bring her husband in now. So what do? Remember that corny little jingle? When things are unclear, go to the gear. So I come up here, click on the gear icon, click on manage permissions, and I'm going to bring her husband in. He's not going to be in my list here because I've never communicated with him before. So I click on the plus symbol and I'm going to bring in Sammy spouse, just like that. All right, so I just added Sammy spouse. There he is right there. And I click add one. And now Christine and Sammy will both have access to any information I put here in the tax planning workspace thread. I'll type a message for them. Okay. And I'll click on the paperclip symbol to share some files with them. Let's say I decide to share with them this document, and this is where you cut me some slack because you know I'm not a real tax professional, all right? Okay, and let's say I decide to bring in those 3 documents. And by the way, I can just drag and drop those in like that nice and easily. And I click send, okay? And that information is encrypted as it's pulled into Verifyle. There you go. Okay, so now Christine and Sammy have access to these 3 documents and also this message. And you can see the 3 documents expanded on over here on the right. Oh, see those little gear icons popping up everywhere? And I know that whenever I click on an icon, I can see options of things I can do, right? Okay, so I just filled out the tax planning workspace thread. Now let's do the same thing for the estate planning workspace thread. I click on it, which brings it front and center. No guests have access yet. Why? Because I haven't given anyone access. And I go to the gear. Click on the gear symbol, click on manage permissions. I'm going to give both Christine and Sammy access to the workspace thread called estate planning. And Christine has asked me to pull in her estate planning attorney as well. Remember that? We talked about that. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the gear symbol, click on manage permissions, click here on the plus symbol, and I'm going to bring in her lawyer, that estate planning attorney. Let's say that's Lisa Lawyer. So I bring in Lisa Lawyer like that. And now I can see that Christine, Lisa Lawyer, and Sammy spouse all will have access to the estate planning information here. And so let's pull in some documents first of all. I will pick some estate planning documents here. How about asset allocation and business succession map, and what else do we have? About life insurance policy and a living trust document. All right, I'll pull those 4 documents in like that. I'll type a message. How about, first of all, I'll give a welcome to Lisa. I've never communicated with her before, not on the phone and not in writing. Welcome, Lisa. Let's focus on estate planning matters. Okay, and now I click send, which shares that message and those 4 documents with Christine and Lisa and Sammy, right? Okay, so any one of them can see anything I put in here. Any one of them can type messages in here along with me, right? We're rolling. It doesn't matter where they're located as long as they have access to the internet. Okay, and then the third workspace thread is my reference material. Okay, and I've set up the my reference materials workspace thread just as a place where I can put information for my reference alone whenever I'm thinking about this oh so important client Christine Carson, right? I want information to be at my fingertips. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to click on the paperclip symbol right here, and let's say I pull in a few documents. How about cash flow report and contract X42, and let's see, do we want to bring in anything else? And a budget forecast. Okay, so these 3 documents right here, I'll drag and drop them in just like that. Then I click send. Okay, but I'm going to click send here, but notice that no guests have access. No guests have access to the My Reference Materials workspace thread. Why? I don't want anybody to have access. This is just for me. So when I click send here, I'm simply sending it into Verifyle. I just click send. That information is encrypted as it's pulled in. These documents are all encrypted with all the encryption capability that I talked about earlier. So I've essentially put these documents in secure encrypted storage for my reference alone. Okay, Although at some point in the future, if I change my mind and I decide I need to share it with my colleague that I work with or something like that, you know what I need to do, right? When things are unclear, I go to the mirror and I can share them as I like. But for right now, I want them just at my fingertips. Okay, so what's happening here? I set up this client Christine Carson workspace environment because I expect that I'm going to have some deep communication needs with Christine Carson. Okay, and so I've set up 3 different workspace threads here, and each of these workspace threads I'm using to share different documents, different messages, and so forth with different clusters of people, right? Okay, so in effect, each of these workspace threads serves as a dynamic subfolder within the larger organizational structure of the workspace client, Christine Carson. And this allows me to give kind of a customized view on a need to know basis to these various people in Christine Carson's world, right? Okay, so let's see what this actually looks like from Christine Carson's perspective, all right? So I'm going to leave the view of Dana, the tax professional, and I'm now going to go in as Christine Carson. So I'm in as Christine Carson now, the client, and I can see, oh, okay, I would have received an email alert, by the way, okay. But inside of Verifyle, I would see this internal alert, okay, and I can click here, Christine Carson, click on the workspace called Client Christine Carson, and I see, oh, the workspace, it's hosted by Dana, my tax pro. I'm seeing 2 different workspace threads here. Now, why is Christine only seeing 2 workspace threads? Well, Christine, of course, is not going to see the workspace thread called My Reference Materials because Dana, the tax professional, did not share that with Christine, right? In fact, Christine wouldn't have any idea that it's even here. And in fact, Dana might have several other workspace threads that he's using to communicate with his internal colleagues, the person who's an expert on estate planning issues, the person who's an expert on business succession issues, the person who's an expert in his firm on charitable donations, whatever situations affect client Christine Carson. And of course, Dana doesn't want Christine to be part of that flow of sometimes unstructured, rough information, right? And also as Christine, what I see here from my tax professional, I want this information to be sharp. And in fact, if my tax professional, Dana, is really on the ball, it would be really nice for me to see a workspace thread here called Taxes 2021, Taxes 2022, and see another workspace thread called Depreciation Schedules, because I do a lot of work in heavy equipment or the real estate industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So I'm seeing what Dana wants me to see here. And this is also a great opportunity for Dana to give me kind of a portfolio view of my information, right? So that when I sign into Verifyle because I need to copy something or I need to review something or whatever, instead of seeing this scattered flow of email and email attachments, I see this portfolio view of my information with the appropriate documents in the appropriate workspace threads, and Dana making sure that only the appropriate people get access to this information as well. Now, I realize that some of your clients could care less about that, especially the ones who have more simple needs. But I bet you that you have some clients who really appreciate this professional view of their information. Okay, just something for you to think about, a way to potentially add value for your clients. Okay, so moving ahead here. In the tax planning workspace thread, as Christine Carson, the client, I can easily go in here. I can access the various documents as I take a look at them. And it doesn't matter whether I click on them here or over here to open them. I just cleared the alert. And in estate planning, I can do similarly. I can click on the documents here to take a look at them or download them. Okay. And do likewise over here. Let's say that for the life insurance policy, I decide that I want to take a look at that life insurance policy right now. Okay, so I can click preview here. Okay, that just sent an email alert to Dana, letting him know that I looked at it, right? Okay, and let's say, you know what, I want to take a really good look at this. I want to look at it over dinner tonight. I want to print it out and everything. Okay, so I decide to download the life insurance policy document. That just also sent an email alert to Dana, letting him know that I downloaded that document. And Dana can, at any time that he wants, access a log of all my access instances to that particular document. And we'll see how that comes in handy in just a bit here. Okay, so anyways, moving ahead. as Christine Carson, I'm looking in here at the estate planning workspace thread, and let's say that there are now, dozens and dozens of documents and hundreds of time and date stamped messages in here because we've been going back and forth for months. Me, Dana, my tax planner, my spouse, Sammy's spouse, and Lisa lawyer, and talking about all these estate planning issues. And you know what? I'm coming to understand that Lisa lawyer's not really adding a lot of value here. She's very expensive, and the things she types in here are obvious things that even I know, and I'm not an estate planning expert. I don't want her to be involved in my estate planning anymore. Can I remove Lisa lawyer from this estate planning workspace thread? No, I cannot. Only the host, Dana, my tax professional, can do that. So I can type a message here for Dana, hey, Dana, get rid of this terrible attorney or something like that. But that might be a little bit blunt because Lisa lawyer would be able to see that. But I can click on Dana's name right here where I have the one-to-one stream of consciousness communication with Dana. And I can tell him to get rid of this lawyer or something to that effect, right? Maybe something a little more graceful. So let's say I type that message to Dana. Now let's go back into Verifyle as Dana. Okay, I'm back in as Dana, the tax professional. I can see the message that Christine Carson typed to me here. And I know, oh, well, the only place in here there's an attorney is in the estate planning area. And I'm the host of this workspace, right? I'm the host of this workspace client, Christine Carson. Only I can remove people. So what am I going to do? I'm going to open up the estate planning workspace thread. And I can see that, yeah, Lisa lawyer, that's the one that my client, Christine Carson, wants removed. I'm the only one who can remove her. And I do so by doing what? When things are unclear, I go to the gear. All right, I click on the gear symbol, click on manage permissions, and I remove Lisa lawyer's access like that. She's gone. She no longer has access here, although any information that she had added in here would remain. And that's a good thing because my client, Christine Carson, just notified that she wants me to bring in the new estate planning attorney that she has chosen. So I go back here, click on the gear symbol, click manage permissions, and I'm going to bring in that new estate planning attorney, Lonnie lawyer. Okay, so I bring in Lonnie lawyer just like that. And now I can see that Christine Carson, the new attorney, Lonnie lawyer, and Sammy's spouse all have access to the hundreds of time and date stamped messages in here, the dozens and dozens of documents. And Lonnie gets to see everything that the prior attorney, Lisa lawyer, was able to see. Okay, so I basically just did an entire historical transcript movement from one professional to another professional, right? And that might be from one person in your company to a new person in your company, et cetera, et cetera. But I can do that in about 20 seconds in Verifyle and transfer over to that new person all of that critical knowledge about estate planning for client Christine Carson. Imagine trying to do that quickly and cleanly using email and email attachments. Pretty darn near impossible, right? But very simple in Verifyle. Okay, the other thing I want to know is, how about that life insurance policy? You know what? That has some very peculiar ramifications for taxes. I need to know who's looked at that, okay? So what do? I go to the gear, right? And then I can click on View Access History. So I click View Access History, and I can see that for the life insurance policy, Lonnie lawyer has not yet looked. Sammy's spouse has not yet looked, okay? But Christine Carson has looked 2 times. And I go ahead and I click here, okay? And I can see that Christine Carson has looked twice on December 18th at 2:01 p.m., okay? So I can see the exact dates and times that Christine Carson accessed this document. And by the way, you're seeing this in Pacific time because I'm located out here on the Pacific, but of course you'd see that in your own time zone, okay? And if Christine Carson had looked at this document 23 times or whatever in the last few weeks or whatever, I would see every single one of those access instances here. And that would also be a huge tip off to me that there's an opportunity for me to add value here to my client and help her understand the ramifications of this life insurance policy to all of her planning and in particular her tax planning, right? It's a chance for me to be on my toes and add value, okay? And similarly, if I can see that my client just looked at a particular document 20 minutes ago and I have a phone call scheduled with them in 15 minutes, what is that client likely to ask me about, right? I know. This all heightens my situational awareness and allows me to better service my client. Similarly, when you're communicating with somebody, whether that be in a one-to-one communication with somebody, right? Or whether that be inside of a workspace thread where you're communicating with multiple people, at any time you can click on someone's name and see when they were last inside that thread, even if they didn't add any information at all. Okay, so I can see Lonnie Lawyers has not yet reviewed this information. Okay, that's understandable. I just shared this with him a few minutes ago, right? But Christine Carson, I can click on her name here and I can see when she was last inside of this particular workspace thread. Okay, so at a minimum, this gives me some sense perhaps of the recency of this information in my client's mind. All of this helping me have a better holistic understanding of what's happening, not just on my side of the communication, but on the other side of the communication as well. Okay, and moving ahead here. Okay, so I think it would be useful for us to go into tax planning and do some digital signatures. I know that's a core function in your industry. So I've clicked here on tax planning, which brings the tax planning workspace thread front and center. Okay, and I'm going to, let's get a document signed. Please sign this doc. Okay, I'll click on the paperclip symbol here. And I'm just going to pull in, let's see, I'll pull in an engagement letter just like that. I'm probably going out of order here, but please cut me some slack on that. Okay, so engagement letter. As you all know by now, hopefully, if I just click send right here, as you know, Christine Carson and Sammy Spouse would simply get access to the engagement letter document, but that's not what I want. I want them to get it and sign it. So I'm going to click in this box right here to request signing, and then I click send. Okay, and for these two individuals, yes, I want both of them to sign it. Okay, and in fact, I actually want Christine Carson to sign it first. So I click next, and then for the first signer, Christine Carson, I need to answer a couple of questions. Do I want to require the signer, Christine Carson, to agree to these terms right here below? And by the way, I can change these terms to be whatever I would like. And I can set those terms to be a default if I would like. Yes, I do want Christine Carson to have to agree to these terms before she's allowed to sign the document. And yes, I do want her to go through an SMS verification, a one-time signature code verification process as part of signing the document. So I'm going to go ahead and add the mobile phone number at which I know that Christine Carson can receive the one-time signature code. So let me put that number in here. And click next. Okay, and then for the second signer, Sammy Spouse, yes, I want him to agree to these terms. And yes, I want him to have to put in a one-time signature code. So I will add in here what I know to be his mobile phone number at which you can receive that one-time signature code, like that. Okay, so here's the engagement letter. Let me increase its size just a little bit to make it easier to work with. I'll scroll down. And for the first signer, Christine Carson, right? I'm going to move my mouse, which moves the cursor, and I'm going to draw a rectangle right here where I want her signature to go. And if I click in this rectangle, I can choose what content gets filled into her here by her. Well, that first box I want to be a signature. The second box, let's say I want to be a date in this format right here. Okay. And then I click next signer. And the next signer is Sammy Spouse. Okay. For Sammy Spouse, let's just say, for example, I want his signature here, and let's say that I want his initials to go right here. Okay, and because I have many other clients from whom I'm going to need a signed engagement letter, I want to create a template of this process so I don't have to keep redrawing these boxes every time I send out an engagement letter. So I'm going to click on the Templates tab right here. And I will save this template under the name, perhaps, of engagement letter for couples. And if it was just an individual client, I might call that template engagement letter for single person, right? So whenever I pull up the engagement letter and I know how many people I need to sign it, then I would just go to the appropriate template and the boxes would already be drawn for me. Very, very convenient. Okay. All right. So that's something that I can do. But let's go ahead and just finish this request right here. So I click finish request and submit request. Okay. And now what I can see is that Christine has been notified to sign the engagement letter. So she will have received an email alert inviting her into Verifyle to sign the engagement letter. And she can also see directly inside of Verifyle that there's an internal alert, right? The internal alert asking her to review and sign the engagement letter. Okay, so you can see I'm now in as Christine Carson, and I'm seeing the internal alert to review and sign the engagement letter. Okay, so I, Christine Carson, the client, am going to click here to review and sign this document. Do I agree to do business electronically? I'm going to click yes. If I click no, I will not be allowed to proceed and sign. So I click yes. Okay. And I can see the person who wants my signature wants me to put in a one-time passcode. And I need to click here in order to receive that signature code. Okay. So I, Christine Carson, the client, click here. Okay. And now I, the client, Christine Carson, am looking on my mobile phone to get that one-time passcode. Okay. And here I can see that one-time passcode that came to me by text, and I will type it in. And click submit. Okay, and I confirm my signature and initials like that. Okay, and now I confirm, yes, I'm okay with my signature going here as Dana requested, and I'm okay with the date going here as Dana requested. Okay, so I've done that. I've just digitally signed that document, and I, Christine Carson, can now see that I have signed the engagement letter. Okay, and now Sammy, my spouse, has been notified to sign the same document. Okay, we're not going to go through that same process with Sammy. We want to be thoughtful about time here, but he's going to do the same thing. But let's see what this looks like from Dana's perspective. Okay, so from Dana's perspective, I can see here that the engagement letter has been signed by Christine. So I can click on the engagement letter here. I can click on it over here as well. Let's say I click on it here and I just click on preview to take a look at the signature. I'll scroll down and I can see where Christine has signed and dated the document. Nice, right? Okay, and then I'll click out here and I want to show you one more thing with regard to the engagement letter, and that is that I can click on the gear icon right here and click on view signing info. And here I can see the document signing audit report, which captures all the metadata associated with me requesting the signature from Christine, and also the metadata associated with Christine Carson actually signing the document, including the fact that she's passed the SMS verification process, that she has agreed to do business electronically, and that her IP address has been captured per IRS requirement. And as soon as Sammy signs the same document, his information will be added to this document signing audit report as well. And this can be printed out anytime I like. By clicking here, I can print out PDF soft copy or a hard copy whenever I would like to. Okay. All right. So that's electronic signing. You can do that to an unlimited extent inside of Verifyle, and you can forget about paying $2, $3, $5 per signature and so forth. All right. Now, the other thing is that inside of Verifyle, you get unlimited editing capability in the form of the following. So you can go ahead and you can preview any document and then click on the little pencil icon right here. And doing that allows you to change the order of pages in any document. It allows you to click on the X to delete pages in any document. It allows you to click on add annotation, okay, to go ahead and annotate any document as you would like to, right? And it additionally, forget my misspelling, okay? And it additionally allows you to merge multiple documents into a single document if you would like. I imagine many of you are paying to do some of those things right now, okay? All right, so we'll go ahead and close that out. And then real quickly here, I wanna bring up an important point, and that is that if you talk to people who have very recently started using Verifyle, they'll tell you that the reason that they did it is because of a lot of the security things I talked to you about earlier. But if you talk to people who've been using Verifyle for several months, what they'll tell you is that the reason that they love Verifyle is because it's so easy for their clients and so easy for themselves and such a productive tool for them to be able to use. And a lot of that functionality stems from the Workspace environment that we've been in right here, where kind of in a single pane of glass, if you will, you can see all the key people involved in client Christine Carson's world, and also the key topics involved as well, if you've labeled your Workspace threads well. And you can also grasp the documents and so forth. And in this simple mental picture, if you will, you can take a lot of information that in many systems is somewhat disassociated, and you can understand the relationships between the people and the documents and the messages and the topics, all part of client Christine Carson's world. And when you take that scattered information and you make it more tangible, more concrete, it helps you think at a more strategic level in terms of how to move the system forward, and lets you get away from thinking at the very simple task level of do task A, then do task B, then task C, task D, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of beauty in that, right? A lot of companies, especially in our part of the country here in Silicon Valley, will try and have you believe that, great software has got all these different modules and so forth, but nothing could be farther from the truth. Really what you want is what the Workspace environment delivers to you here, in that it exemplifies great software as being software that allows you to understand more while looking at less. It allows you to accomplish more while doing less. And the Workspace environment lets you think like that. Okay, it lets you function at that higher level. Okay, it also serves as a wonderful digital cue card as well. Let's say that you've been working hard during the day, and you get a call out of the blue from a client of yours that you haven't talked to in 2 months. And in that interim, you've probably had 1,000 other phone calls and so forth. And this client that you haven't talked to in 2 months calls you out of the blue and just right out of the gate starts talking to you about some rarely referenced tax law and a very arcane document that hardly anyone knows anything about. And you're just thinking, whoa, when you pick up the phone, and you're scrambling so that you can, get your mind to that place where it needs to be to add value for that client. Well, with Verifyle, you just click on the Workspace for that particular client, and boom, instantly you see all the key people involved, all the key topics and so forth. You can easily access the documents and snap your mind back to that place where you can quickly add value for that client and be perceived and actually be on the ball, right? And delivering value immediately. So Verifyle is very useful in that regard as well. Okay. A couple things I want to point out real quickly here, because these are questions that often pop up. Okay, so you should know that in Verifyle, when you're on the home screen here, if you're in the Workspaces tab, you can at any time go over here and click on the little Sort tab on the far right, and you can organize your workspaces based on workspace name, host last name, whatever. I like to keep everything that I do organized by recency or updated date. Okay. Similarly, if you're in the contacts area, okay, you can come over here and you can click on Sort, and here you can also organize by contact first name, contact last name. And again, I like to keep it all organized by recency or updated date, but that's an important little thing for you to all know. Okay. And there's no file size limit in Verifyle. You should know that as well. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out to all of you is that as you work inside of Verifyle, please bear in mind that if you have simple situations with your clients, then feel free to just do all of that work right out of the contacts area. You can request signatures and everything right out of the contacts area, right? So you can work with your clients that way if they have relatively simple needs. But for those clients with whom you have deeper level communication needs, you want to create a workspace for those clients. And please only put one client in each workspace. If you put multiple clients into a single workspace, when you start breaking that off into workspace threads and so forth, you're going to create a very confusing scenario for yourself. So think in terms of one workspace for each client with whom you have deep level communication needs. And you should rest well knowing that you actually have access to a legacy version of Verifyle Pro. You get up to 1,500 workspaces as opposed to just 30 workspaces in that standard Verifyle Pro. So that's a nice plus for you. Okay, so moving ahead here. All right, so I want to show you one workspace that I've created in advance just to make some key points to you here. And I think the most relevant example would be the Rockefeller workspace that I've set up here in advance. And let's say, for example, this is a family that has a lot going on from a tax perspective, from a financial perspective. They've got estate planning issues. Of course, they're relying on you for taxation planning and so forth. They own some property out of state. There are multiple family members potentially involved, et cetera, et cetera. A high net worth family. There's a lot going on here. That's the main thing, all right? Okay, so let's click into the Rockefeller family workspace here. Click in the Rockefeller family workspace. Let's say that my key contact is Ricky Rockefeller, okay? And for Ricky Rockefeller, I've set up a number of different workspace threads, including tax considerations, estate planning, legal requirements, cash flows, et cetera, and made sure that the right people are getting access to the right information. And we can see here that for the estate planning workspace thread, Ricky Rockefeller's got a number of documents that many people in his world are quite interested in. They're interested in his life insurance policy, his last will and testament, and his asset list. And you can imagine many people in Ricky Rockefeller's network, including his immediate and extended family members like Rhonda Rockefeller and Susie's stepsister, being very interested in that information, and also perhaps people in his professional services network or his professional network, including Ed Executive, his business partner, Larry Lenderbank, his banker, and Arnold Advisor, his financial advisor, also being very interested in that information. Now, of course, I'm going to do my absolute best to provide the most top-notch tax planning advice and service that I possibly can to my client, Ricky Rockefeller. But above and beyond that, I have an incredible opportunity here to put myself in the extremely sticky position of becoming a professional steward of Ricky Rockefeller's sensitive financial information on a need-to-know basis out to his network of family and professional services providers, okay? Making sure that the right people have access to the right information and that I have confirmation of all of those access instances. And I'm doing all of this in very tight coordination with my client, Ricky Rockefeller, all right? Now, how sticky of a relational position is that between me and Ricky Rockefeller to be that professional steward of his information out to his network, okay? And how many leads is that potentially going to surface for me from those individuals in his network who like the level, who appreciate the level of professionalism that I'm using to share information out to them, right? So that is a potential way to really build my lead pipeline on top of adding value to my client, Ricky Rockefeller, above and beyond what he's expecting of me. And I believe that the world of professional services, whether you're a tax professional, whether you're in the legal industry, whether you're doing what I'm doing right now, whether you're in any of the financial services branches and so forth, all of these industries in many ways are just information, laws, and relationships. They're going to become more and more competitive as time goes on. And the burden's on all of us to find ways to help add value to all these relationships that we have with our clients. So anyways, that's one potential way for you to add value for your clients and yourselves that you might consider. Okay, and so now I'm going to go back home here. All right. I want to point out to you that, as you know, you can click on the contact tab at any time that you would like, and you can click on the plus symbol and you can add individuals' names and email addresses in order to one by one add those people to your contact list. But you also have the option to bulk import contact information into your Verifyle system using what's called the CSV file format. And this is the standard file format that software companies use to export and import contact information. And if you do that, you will immediately populate your contact list. So all you need to do is click on someone's name in order to begin communicating with that person, right? And you can also quickly build out your workspaces also without having to think about typing in individual email addresses and names and so on and so forth. So if you would like to bulk import contact information into your Verifyle system, you can simply go to youtube.com and type in Verifyle contact, and you'll find a mini tutorial video there that shows you exactly how to do that. If you have any problems at all, just email us at support@verifyle.com and we'll be happy to help you out. Okay, now, the other thing I want to show you here is at any time you can click on your name at the top right, then you can go into account settings. And in account settings, you can change your name, you can change your email address, you can change your signature to anything you'd like. You can swap out the default IAAI logo for any logo of your choosing. And there's also a public upload page and request payments capability. We'll come back to that in just a few minutes, okay? Storage, here you can see how much of your CellUcrypt encrypted storage that you've used. Here you can see I've used 20 megs of 250 gigabytes, which is a tiny, tiny fraction of 1% of that information. Automatically send alerts is on. This is what makes it so that email alerts are automatically sent to the intended recipients of any information that I add into Verifyle. I highly recommend you leave that on. Okay, document activity alerts are on. This is what makes it so that I receive email alerts letting me know that somebody has looked at or downloaded any information that I have shared with them. Okay, message edit is at the default setting of on. Message edit capability is on, but you can turn this off if you would like for workspaces for which you are the host, right? You can turn off message edit capability if you would like. Block list, blocking someone in Verifyle is not a bad thing. It simply makes it so that that person, when they share information with you inside of Verifyle, you'll still see the internal alert, but you will not receive that external email alert, right? So if you're working with someone who's using Verifyle all the time, sharing things with you, they sit close to you, and they're probably telling you that they're sharing something with you, you might want to just block them. You don't need that extra email alert, right? You'll see that information when you go into Verifyle. Languages, right now there's English, Spanish, and French in Verifyle. The languages will increase. We're going to be adding more languages. Change password, you can do that right here. Session management, I recommend all of you go into here. You can click on session management, and in here, you have the ability to, well, first of all, you'll see if you have any sessions open on other devices or other browsers, and you can log out of them. But most importantly, in my opinion, is that you can click on this slider right here, which you can use to indicate to Verifyle the amount of time after which, if you have been inactive in your Verifyle system, that Verifyle should automatically sign you out. I like to keep this at about 1 or 2 hours. It's very handy for those of you in particular who might forget to sign out of your Verifyle system after you've used it. Okay, two-factor authentication is on. It's active, right? I showed you that at the beginning of today's presentation. I use a revolving authenticator, but some of you might be more comfortable using two-factor authentication in the form of a text code that gets texted to your mobile device. You can turn that on if you'd like. Okay, so I'm going to move ahead here and jump into talking to you about the public upload page and the ability to invoice and request payments. Okay, everything that I've talked to you about thus far, you get at no charge as a result of being a member of IAAI and getting access to the legacy version of Verifyle Pro. We have very recently added some new capabilities inside of Verifyle that people are coming in unaffiliated with associations to use that are paying $22 a month and $49 a month in order to be able to access, okay? You can access these capabilities at a huge discount. because of that partnership between us and IAAI. Okay, and so the first one of those capabilities is the public upload page. The public upload page is essentially a custom web page that anybody can use to securely share information with you. That custom web page would hold your logo and a custom message from you. And associated with that, you also choose what we call a handle. So if I were to choose a handle, it might be taxes by Dana or California best taxes or something to that effect, right? As long as nobody else has already grabbed that handle, okay? That handle would then serve as a link that I could put in my email signature and also place on my web page that anybody could click on to instantly be transported to that public upload page to be able to securely share information with me. And if you click here, there's a little video here that you can click on to learn more about how that works, okay? The other capability is the ability to invoice and request payment, okay? That's self-explanatory. There's a little bit of a setup process at the beginning of that, but to learn more about that, you can go ahead and click here to watch that video, okay? And to provide a little bit more clarity to you in terms of the pricing for those options, all you need to do is scroll to the bottom of your page, okay? And then click on Show Options. Here, you can see that you as an IAAI member get IAAI Pro at no charge. It's free to you because IAAI has picked up that tab. And you can get the custom public upload page we just talked about, and also the ability to invoice and receive payments, okay, by paying $9 per month. You do not need to upgrade to Verifyle Gold at $22 per month or Verifyle Platinum at $49 a month in order to get those additional capabilities because of the partnership that's in place. All right, so that is an option for you. All right, and so let me go ahead and close out of that. And then I've seen a number of questions rolled in. I've already addressed a couple of them where we've already gone over time here. So I'm just going to jump to one particular issue that I can see several of your questions have touched on. So let me just hit that question on the head to wrap up. Okay, in general, when you put information into Verifyle, that information stays in Verifyle, okay? Now, the exception to that, where you get greater control over that, is the workspace. So I created this workspace, client Christine Carson, okay? And because I created it, I'm the host of this workspace, client Christine Carson. And as a result of that, I, and only I, have the ability to delete workspace threads if I would like to, right? So let's say I want to delete the estate planning workspace thread. Christine can't do that, nor can Lonnie or Sammy's spouse, but I can by simply, what do? When things are unclear, I go to the gear, right? And then I can click here to delete this thread if I would like. Only I can do this, all right? I click OK, and now you can see the estate planning workspace thread has been completely deleted. Okay, I can remove people. Remember I took Lisa Lawyer out of the estate planning workspace thread? Well, I can remove her from my entire screen here by simply clicking on the gear icon and removing her, just like that. Okay, now Lisa Lawyer is gone. And yes, I can remove the entire workspace if I would like by going here to my home screen. There's the client Christine Carson workspace. It's a two-step process to delete an entire workspace, because if you accidentally delete an entire workspace, that's something that would really stress you out, right? Okay, so I click on the gear symbol here if I want to delete the client Christine Carson workspace. And the first step I make is to archive the workspace. So I click here to archive the workspace. Now that workspace is gone from the colored active workspace area. But if I click on archive, here I can see the client Christine Carson workspace. And by the way, if anyone added any information here, it would automatically get kicked back up into the active colored workspaces area. But I can click on the gear symbol right here in order to manually unarchive the workspace and kick it back up to the active colored workspace area. Or I could also delete the workspace here if I actually want to do that. I can click delete workspace, and then here Click OK. Okay, and now you can see that the client Christine Carson workspace is completely gone. Okay, all right. So I'll just reiterate again that IAAI Pro, the special legacy version of Verifyle Pro, is available to all of you as IAAI members at no charge, and that, yes, that does include unlimited electronic signatures. Okay, and if you have any additional questions at all, please feel free to go ahead and email your questions to us at support@verifyle.com. And thank you very much, everybody, for staying for today's presentation. We hope that you feel comfortable using your Verifyle system now, and hope that you feel like you got some real value from today's presentation. Thank you very much for your time.